My name is Lakshmi Sahiti Maladi, and this is another video on the conspiracy against Sri Nityananda Swami. In this video, I wanted to talk about the aftermath. After 2012, when blackmailing Swamiji failed, and when he was officially sentenced to 5 years in prison in the highest security prisons in the United States of America, he was making desperate attempts in order to reverse the filings and also put a case against Swamiji. After he was sentenced to 5 years of prison, he immediately appealed, saying that John Brown, his lawyer, did not allow him to bring a cult expert to the stand in order to testify that my family and I were a part of a cult, and therefore we are lying for Swamiji. His entire belief, his entire defense was that I was lying for Swamiji because for some reason Swamiji needed me to lie for him. The truth was that already Judge Edie, who was the honorable judge who oversaw the criminal case against Vinay Bharadwaj, already recognized that there was no way that I or my family or any of members of my family or community who had testified seeing that Vinay Bharadwaj was actually molesting me in public and in private, Judge Edie had recognized all of this and said so in his proceedings. When he decided that he was going to charge Vinay with 3 accounts of child molestation, he also recognized that there was no way that we were lying or that his defense has any basis. It was very clear in the transcript. On August 14th, in the court proceedings, Judge Edie even addressed the civil case that was going on separately against Sri Nityananda Swami by Vinay Bharadwaj, and the defense that Vinay was carrying that I was lying for Swamiji. Addressing this, he even says, in this case, I don't think there is any credible evidence that a plan to discredit Vinay was ever actuated or put in place. I think that LM's testimony in this manner is evidence of that, perhaps the best evidence of that. And in saying that, I think that she told the truth when she testified as to what happened. Judge Edie even goes further and says that none of my testimony, none of my statements showed any signs of being scripted or coached, and to him sounded very consistent with my age at the time. But despite this, Vinay Bharadwaj appealed, trying to say that John Brown did not let him bring in a cult expert to make sure that we are to bring in evidence or any kind of expert saying that we are a part of a cult, which was completely not true. In addition to that, John Brown and Vinay Bharadwaj also had a series of emails showing how desperate Vinay was in order to not get deported and not be in danger of getting such a serious crimes put against him. He had shown John Brown and his work and co-workers, colleagues, did not correctly explain the idea of deportation and the fact that if he was charged with the accounts of child molestation, then there was a very high chance that he was going to be deported out of the United States, never to come back again for the next 10 years. And for Vinay, that meant for a long time throughout his prime. It was a serious blow for him, and so there's an exchange of emails where John Brown is telling Vinay that he is putting too much on him. He is wearing him down, and clearly showing how Vinay is extremely desperate. Vinay, of course, is playing victim and saying that instead of answering John Brown's questions, instead of John Brown answering Vinay's questions, he's attacking me. Clearly, there was such a hard relationship between defense and the defendant's lawyer. On top of that, he had probably changed lawyers maybe 3 times in his entire court trials, with me and in the civil case. That brings me to the civil case against Swamiji. After being charged with 3 accounts of child molestation to the 2nd degree and showing up in court in an orange jumpsuit because he was already in prison by then, he his complaint against Sri Nityananda Swami was completely quashed in court, and he was fined $500,000 for all of the abuse and the blackmail that he was trying to do against Swamiji. Later on in 2014, Vinay tried to get away from paying all of these fines by filing for a bankruptcy, which the court also dismissed and did not allow him to do. On top of all of this, Vinay Bharadwaj appealed 6 total times, going through the hierarchy of the Washington State Supreme Court, and every single time got more and more harsh responses in his denial, until he was finally deported in March 2016. He clearly at that point was completely desperate to get out of all the trouble that he had put himself in. And yet, in the media today, we are believing the lies that he has planted in all of our brains. It is time that the truth finally come out. I am hoping that you are listening, every single one of you, and that we are eager to spread the truth, finally. Thank you so much.